Hey, good morning. This is Sean Ashcraft, and today we're going to be doing some Aqua Wizardry on a recent band practice. We recorded some stuff, and I thought this might be a good time to be like a little bit more transparent about the process, because sometimes we record stuff and then something happens and then it magically sounds good. So I thought I would talk a little bit about what all goes into that wizardry that is the Aquawizard. Thanks to the Aquawizard Audio Wizard Sound System 2000, we can now unlock the secrets for our own benefit. So let's switch over to Logic. Oh my gosh, I did something weird, but I think we're good. Yes, we're going to be doing Logic today, and it's already freezing. That's a good sign. So, what's this button do? There we go. So, let me just kind of orient ourselves first, because there's a lot going on in Logic. If you watched my last video on controlling the peripherals and the mix and everything in this audio sound system, then you've seen that part. But if you haven't, this part will cover something different. So I guess you could go watch that if you wanted to, but I don't recommend it. 5 out of 10, not for me. But if you find it useful, why not? But yeah, I thought this would be kind of fun to just kind of see how this stuff works. But yeah, let me talk. This is going to be kind of a long form. Sean's just gonna he's just gonna mansplain stuff for a while. So if you don't find that kind of content compelling, I'm sorry, but I do just kind of feel like sharing the kind of stuff that goes into the audio processing, especially because like a lot of stuff doesn't really. I don't really know how to explain it other than to just kind of show off. Here's what the kick drum sounds like, and here's what this sounds like. And then seeing all the stuff that kind of goes into it. So just going to focus on having fun with it. And yeah, so we had our band practice, and we recorded some stuff. We basically just recorded a drum sound check here, and we recorded like a warm-up song that we were checking levels, and then we practiced that weekend, and then we did one big run-through of like the complete set. So we can see the timing of the set basically comes out. If you subtract the time that's here at the beginning, about 10 minutes. So it's about an hour and 4 minutes with all the goofing around and checking sounds and stuff. But you can see how often our play to not play ratio, we got a pretty big not play part of that ratio. But some songs we just go right into them. So we could probably work on that, but that's not like a big deal. Not something to kind of like lose sleep over. But yeah, currently in Logic, we're looking at the editor view. If you're following along at home with your own digital audio workstation, that would be weird, but I suppose. Yeah, you'd probably have an editor view in your DAW of choice. You might have what's called like a loop grid. We're not doing live loops. We're doing like tracks on a virtual tape. I don't know what they call that. Yep, just, recording tracks mode. But yeah, this is usually called the edit window or the tracks window or something like that. Now, I personally like having this second window, this called the mixer window, because this is just kind of how I learned audio stuff. You have your edit window and you have your mix window. It's kind of how Pro Tools is set up. It's what they're trying to drill into your brain if you learn Pro Tools is that there's always a tape machine that's recording all of your audio tape. and then you have your mixer that's mixing all of the tracks of the tape into a master tape. And so you'll see a lot of this leftover language, like in Logic, they have this mastering button here. That's what they're talking about. They're, mixing it down to the final form that all of your copies will be based off of. The master copy is what they're talking about there. So anyway, this session already has a lot of routing. The last video I was explaining how we had personalized headphone mixes where you could each control your own thing. That's kind of neat. But today, I'm going to kind of simplify all that. In fact, I thought it might be kind of neat to go track by track and have me recreate what I might do the mix as. Now that I've done it once, it's a little bit easy. Like if you're doing it the first time, you're really kind of not. You kind of need to be in mix mode, I guess you could say. At least I do. And I just need to kind of be concentrating on the sound and how I'm processing the sound. But since I've done that once before, I've already kind of made a lot of subconscious decisions that I think I can somewhat faithfully recreate here. I don't know, man. And I actually have coffee for this episode. So, okay, so first step, let me make sure I'm working in a safe environment. Safety first. That's what they say, right? So Logic has this feature called Project Alternatives, and it seems like a good idea. And so what I do is I'll start one project, and then for a while, like this is all of our 2024 live practices, I would switch to another alternative, but I'm using this session as a pass-through from my microphone. That's why you can see my audio meter there in the lower left corner. Unless you have a 4x3 television, it's cropped, but I don't know why I'm thinking about that. Anyway, also sorry if the audio processing isn't great. I say that every video because I'm an audio guy and I can't actually hear what it sounds like while I'm talking. So I just I don't know. It probably sounds fine, but I've noticed I've been zeroing out the meter there, which means I might be clipping, or it might just sound kind of cool, or might sound like total dog poop. But anyway, getting back to the focus here, I saved a unique session for this session. So I can just goof around here. As long as I don't do what's called destructive audio editing, all of my previous work, all of those sessions should be saved. So that's kind of handy. Definitely pretty handy feature there. But yeah. So because I have that, I am going to reset all of the routing. Not everything. Not that. Stand by. I'm going to keep some routing. I'll explain in a second here. It just kind of is a pain in the butt to set up. So pain in the butt. All right, let's get rid of this one. And then it'll get smaller. Hey, it did. Okay. And then on the Vox sub, I'm going to reroute it. So what I'm doing here is I'm basically taking various channels that I know that I want them to go different places, and I'm sending them to that place. So I know I'm not being very specific on the details, but I'm doing that intentionally. Okay. And I think I'm also going to go ahead and get rid of all effects. We're just going to start straight up from the ground up. Well, I want to keep my EQ on my live mic, so just give me a sec here. This up here. Go. Doesn't want to do it. There we go. Okay, this is how audio processing, this is just how it goes. This is about the right speed. It's good for like kind of preparing your brain to be all mushy and just kind of be ready for anything. All right. Got this cleaned up here. Now let me double check some routing on this. So okay. Let me walk through each channel and let's do a quick rundown on what each channel is here. So here on the left, this is my live channel, my VO, if you will, my voiceover what? Voiceover silence, voiceover the music I'm going to play through here, voiceover other stuff. That's what this channel's for. So I got my mic input here. This is what the input's all about. Now, the order that they put this stuff, hey, Otto, the order that they are putting this stuff is a little bit deceiving. They kind of do it more in convenience and not in the order of operations, not the order in which they happen. So often people will kind of visualize audio flowing through a fader, either going up to down or down to up or something like that. But you can't really do that here except in the audio effects channel. You can kind of do imagine input going through the effects, then getting split out to the sends, which I can explain in a little bit, and then sent to your output. And somewhere in here, it's being affected by the fader, and it's being affected by the pan knob, and it might be affected by automation groups and automation stuff, which I can explain later. For now, we're not going to worry too much about automation. We're just going to mix like a live, as if this is a straight up live show or something like that. There's not going to be a ton of automation for a live program, if you will. Just going to make sure to pop my P on that when I say program. Program. Just do a little coffee refill here. Okay, let's get the sound of that. You might not hear that. I might get gated out. But so one thing I should note is that my microphone is plugged into a preamp, which is then plugged into an audio processor, which is a noise gate, and then a audio dynamics compressor. And then it goes into another input. So that's what this input is. And then it goes into this EQ. It looks like it's EQ first and then the input, but that's not quite right. So anyway, here's what an EQ is. I guess I can just go ahead and show it off here. I got this like curve here. As you can see here, I've got a curve. And I can explain more of that later, but basically EQs turn down frequencies and turn up frequencies. It's like a volume control for certain frequencies. But yeah. So let's go track by track and talk about what we got. So that was just my input mic here. So I've got this these controls down here to basically enable the track, enable that input. You don't always want all of your inputs enabled because, you know, all the various equipment in your studio that might be plugged into your system might be kind of noisy when you're not using it. So just to cut down on the monitor noise, you don't necessarily want to listen to every input all the time. Sometimes you just want to listen to the tape, and that's what your input is all about. Now, record mode, Logic's a little funny. I don't have to go into the details, but basically, if you have something selected, in like a track selected in Logic, and you press record, it'll just go ahead and record, because it's sort of like you know, worst case scenario, you recorded it. I don't know. So anyway, that's record, enable, that's how you can multi-track. So you can select lots of, that's how we basically recorded all of this stuff is you record, enable multiple tracks, and your audio system should be able to handle all that processing and IO. If it can't, then you have to look into computer systems or stuff to help, with the IO. Assuming you have them all routed, blah, blah, blah. So here I've got a vocal mic for me. Here I've got a vocal mic for Brad. We didn't really record any songs that Brad was singing, so I'm going to leave this on the mute setting and kind of have it turned down, just sort of a reminder this isn't really being used. I could hide it if I wanted to, but for now I'll just leave it. And then we have my guitar, and then Brad's guitar. I have these panned. I kind of like if I have two guitarists or two instrumental, thingies, I like to pan them over just to, give them some space. I won't even listen to it. I'll just be like, pan it. Just pan that shit over. Bass, I'll keep that in the middle. Kick drum. I like mixing the drums, starting with them real hot in the mix, getting the vocal to match the drums, and then kind of sneak everything else in there. And that can lead to maybe a little bit of a drum heavy mix, but I used to do guitar heavy mixes, and now I'm trying to compensate for that. So I put way too much bass in my mixes now. I know it doesn't quite sound professional, like you listen to professionally mixed stuff on Spotify. It doesn't quite sound like that, but I'm like, I don't care. I like the bass. Do what I want. But yeah, that's why I got a lot of kick, and usually I have more bass. I don't know. These faders are just kind of where they're at. I don't know. We'll get into why we'll put faders where they go. And then we had some reference tape over here. Oh, by the way, the overhead. This should probably just say overhead because we're just a little low on mic cables and stuff like that. So the drums, I just had a mono single mic instead of two mics or a mic that has like a stereo pickup. And so usually those have two channels, but this time just a one channel. Start out something simple, I guess, for this this vid. Reference tape, just we didn't play along to that, but if we needed to listen to any songs, I could just solo that track real quick and jump to the track number. It's pretty cool. Okay, let me talk about submixes. So I personally like to use what are called submixes. They're very handy for consolidating a big complicated mix down to a few simple elements. So basically what you might want to do is if you have, see, I'm clipping all over the place here. That's okay. It usually doesn't sound that bad to clip once in a while. It might be because I'm boosting. So let me go to the EQ before I talk about subbing. Yeah, I got a little boost. Let me just cut that back. And sometimes cutting is actually, they might have a little boost. A boost and a cut. So, I don't know. Just cut that back a little bit. Anyway, so submixes. So here I've got a Vox sub, and one reason you might want to submix something is because you want to send a bunch of stuff to something like a reverb or a delay channel. And if you think about it, the more more knobs that you're adding to your system, the more system resources you're using, basically. So to cut down on the use of those resources, what you might do is first mix everything like vocals together, then send that mix over to your delay or reverb. And that way you don't have like a bajillion different buses and sends and all that crap. So that's one. So I like to submix my vocals. It can be very handy to submix your drums, and I'll explain why later. And then some people just call these like, I don't know, auxiliary returns. But basically, in a traditional studio setup, you maybe only have like 3 or 4 different reverb options, or even pieces of gear that even make reverb sounds. So again, to save on resources, instead of everybody gets their own reverb, you just send everybody to the same reverb, and it sounds even a little bit more natural because it sounds like one space rather than 12 different spaces. So that's what we're going to do today. That's what we got these prepped here for. And then, because I'm an extra big nerd, I like to make my own main mix channel, and it's a big submix, and it's my submix that everything that I'm mixing together goes to. And then your audio system will have their own master, fader, stereo output mix, and then that's where they put the mastering stuff. As long as that's all unity gain, I'll do all of that on my own big submix fader. I don't really know why I do this. It's just something I do. You don't have to do this, but in this case, it did make it useful because what I'm going to do is process the audio in Logic, and I'm using Logic as a kind of a relay to send my mic into OBS, because for some reason my audio equipment doesn't work with OBS, and it's because I have old audio equipment, like, just be honest. So yeah, this way I can control the level independently, which sometimes is nice and other times kind of a pain in the ass, because you have to like, oh great, now I've got like 2 different outputs and 4 different ways to control it. What the hell's going where? So ignore all this complicated output stuff. This is just mostly for demonstration. We're going to focus mostly on, like, let's say you set this up in GarageBand. I know GarageBand doesn't look like this, and I was thinking maybe I could do another video where I recreate this session, but in GarageBand. And then I was thinking of having another video where I would recreate that session in like an open source thing, like either Ardor or maybe even Audacity, because Audacity does have multi-track capabilities. But I don't know. I'd have to get some like Patreon donations or something like that. Go down that rabbit hole. Maybe on my other channel. I don't know what other channel, but so I'm not doing a good job plugging that, but anyway. So that was kind of a quick overview of the mixer, and then we're going to be spending just a little time in the edit view here. And something I kind of like about Logic is when you select something in the edit view, like my VO channel here, it's got this little guy over here, this little it looks like a droid button now. Used to be an I. You just press I. Get that little guy over there. And it shows you the channel that you have selected, and it shows you the next channel that it's routed to. So I have it routed directly to this output so that I can go to OBS. Yeah, it's working great. And I can select this channel, and now I can see, oh, it's going to the Vox sub channel. That's cool. All right, so let's maybe check out some of these raw channels. Let's go right to the sound check song. The song that kind of is a little rough and ready. So the British say that, I think. I got a false start here. Let's go here. This might be loud. Here we go. Just beware. Or it'll be just really quiet. That's actually what it'll be. Let's do like a raw mix real quick here. Turn my headphones. It's like a branch into the creek. Get a lot of kick. Drums. level is really low for some reason. I'm not really sure why. Alright, heating up my bedroom here. Okay, so you could probably, you know, agree with me that it kind of sounds like dog shit right now. And that's nobody's fault. It's just when you've got rock and roll and you've got basically no effects on it, yeah, it's just going to sound a little not good. So, I mean, it could sound amazing, like if we tried really hard and got everything like pre-processed and everything. But you know, that's just kind of the reality of it. So, what we did is we had the sound check song, or we had the sound check session here. I got some kick drum. So what I'm gonna do is just kind of loop this kick drum. I'm gonna loop the kick drum. Oof. Coming in hot. I think I adjusted the gain after that. It was like a little bit too much. Let's start here. Okay. God damn it. You see what it's doing? Okay. Loop here. And actually loop it. There we go. Okay. So this doesn't really sound like a kick drum yet. It's kind of flapping there. Plus, okay. Let me explain what's going on. I've got like all the mics up, so that way I kind of have a real sound. And I apologize if this is kind of clipping over here. So hopefully it doesn't sound too bad. But yeah, we got this kick drum right here. So let's, there's a couple things that almost always make stuff sound better. First is I am going to add like a limiter here. So if you're like working on a mix and you're constantly clipping stuff and you're just like getting frustrated and you're like, I don't know what to do, just to like chill things out, you can, at the end of your mix, just set your compressor to like no compression, so threshold to 0. Just keep everything zeroed out. Maybe turn auto gain off when you're starting out, just so you start to get to know stuff. And I'm gonna set this limiter here, just to kind of, I don't know. I keep, especially with my mic mixing in with the kick drum and all the levels are flying all over the place. I just kind of, this will make things a little bit easier. I'm talking louder, stuff. Okay, so let's hone in on this kick drum. Like I said, I'm listening to the room. I've got those mics in there, but I'm gonna just pay attention to this kick drum. And there's a couple things that you can either start out with. You can either EQ the thing, make it sound, less boomy or less flappy or less tinny, whatever. EQ, scoop out those frequencies that you don't really want. Or you can think about the dynamics of what's happening. So, like, let me smooth out the dynamic performance. So, like, every kick drum hit sounds the same. And then, like, in terms of the volume, and then I'll EQ it. There's like some good rules of thumb on like which one to start with, but just start with one of them. And then if later you're like, oh yeah, it would probably sound great to flip these around in order, just try that out. So I don't want to get all audio tips and tricksy guy, but there's a lot of audio tips and tricks that can be hard to know that they're there. Like, I think a lot of folks just be like, whatever, I'll just pick a preset here. And you're like, did that make it sound any better? You know. It's hard to tell. Hard to tell, to be honest, if I did anything. So, that's where the tips and tricks come in, unfortunately. It's like, I wish there was an easier way to explain this, but anyway, tip and trick number 1 for the kick drum. Most people are like, don't, you don't, this is what's called a high pass filter. They're like, oh, don't turn on the high pass filter. But the secret of the high pass filter is its resonance. And if, now here's a good situation where I'm starting to add frequencies, and so it's starting to clip. So as I'm gaining up this EQ, it's starting to clip. So maybe I'll go ahead. I've just barely bumped up the low end, and I don't want this to clip all the time. So I'm going to go ahead and throw on the compressor and turn off the auto gain, because you can use the auto gain, that's fine, but I'm turning it off so you can kind of see why you do the auto gain thing and what it means and how to, we'll do it manually first, and then later you can just do whatever the hell you want. So here's another good tip and trick. Load up the Logic compressor. Get a good compressor, like the Studio FET. This is a good one. The other ones are a little slower. This one's real fast. Although you can, set the time constants and everything. But yeah, this is a big one. This helps a lot in terms of leveling out the performance. And if you're trying to boost, you're trying to get that big fat kick drum sound, this will tame down the level so that you get that big fat sound, but you're not eating up all of your headroom. Those are big fancy audio guy words. Let me go ahead and just tune this in. So I'm gonna give it a good amount of compression. I'll have this go pretty fast. Pretty damn fast. I don't know. 5 milliseconds, pretty damn fast. This little needle is attempting to show me how much it's compressing, but because of the slowdown, because of the graphics, I'm just gonna jump here. And as you can see, it's a fast fucker right there. Sorry. I'm just gonna talk like that once in a while. Yeah, it's doing like 12 dB of compression, and you can see this little handy graph here. So that means you can probably crank it up about 12 dB. Well, not really, because it's clipping even more now. But maybe half. Meet it in the middle, Because this thing does let some what are called transients. It's like the real fast pop. If you set the attack like a little bit slow, it'll let those transients through, and you'll get that nice pop sound. And then this compressor, turning it down like this, what it's doing is it's letting you hear that boom. So it's popping and booming, basically. And then we can help it pop and boom even more by getting rid of the things that are not popping and booming. So we're gonna scoop the mids. And after years of careful audio engineering nerdery, you learn what the frequencies that cause that kind of like, a kick drum sounds like it's in a box. And then you just kind of learn how to compensate for it. I don't know. That's pretty good. I like that. Oh, and then what you do is you just crank the you widen this up. At 12 dB. Really get that boom in there. And maybe cut down the resonance just a little bit. There we go. Big kick. Big low end. Check your levels. Make sure you have headroom. It's still not enough. I'm gonna have to keep bumping this up. There we go. Okay, maybe that's a little much there, but... So the 100 to 200 range is sort of like your small speaker low end, and then everything that's below 100 is kind of like your subwoofer low end. So you want to get a lot of energy in your subwoofer, but you also want to get energy in, you know, those small speakers. You get both buddies. You get rid of the flappy sounds and like this middle, you know, range. Those overtones can sound pretty good, but you know, just dial it in. Look at that, 21 dB cut at 625. That's insane. But you know, some people like to A/B compare. I don't think it's a good idea, but we can just try it because why not? There you go. It's a kick drum. It's kicking. So that's probably not the same EQ curve that I put in the demo mix, but it's something like that. It could be anything, you know. And I went EQ into compressor. You know, maybe I should do something else. It sure seems like it's still peaking out a lot. So I need to reduce the headroom on this bad boy. One really easy way to do that is just fucking turn on some soft distortion. The thing I've noticed though is that when you turn on the soft distortion, it just turns the level up a little bit. It's kind of annoying. So that's gonna like soften up that high end. But I'm not going to throw on the limiter. So the limiter is the thing, soften up that high end. That's not really what. Soften up those transients, get a little bit more clonk out of them. But I'm not going to turn on the limiter because I kind of want it to get really punchy into the sub bus, and then we will talk about that in a little bit. But and this is okay. I'm kind of drilling the input like really hot, meaning that the level is coming in really, really hot. It's fine as long as it's not getting above like 6 dB or something like that, because of the processing that this thing can do. So I'm just going to leave it there for now. So we got a big kick. Let's switch the loop. All right. I'm going to go to snare drum. Loop it. I was goofing with the levels here or something. All right, let's loop that. God damn it. I hate this loop. I don't know how to stop it. There we go. Okay, dynamic range. Okay, so we're looking at the overhead channel here. It's coming in hot. I think I'm gonna switch things up here and do the compressor first. And you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna simplify because I'm already thinking too much. So let's go to classic VCA. This one has less knobs. See that? Okay, switch graph because I can't really see what's going on. Okay. We're just gonna, whatever this thing decides, we're gonna let it do it. But I'm gonna make this a little more aggressive, 3-to-1. Let's bring this down quite a bit. I want it really smacking that snare drum. There we go, about 10 dB down. Should be a good start. Let's bring it back up. Turn it up a little bit. Not that much. And then to help soften things up here, I'll just turn on the distortion, but I'll turn the output down. Okay, great. Now, let's give it a little bit of a sample. So something I'm going to know is that I have my vocal mic over here, and I haven't touched it yet. So there's kind of that's playing a factor. So I'm really just trying to get it as sweet as I can for now. Oh, you know what? I forgot about the EQ. So let me just tune the EQ on the snare drum. EQ. Alright. Now, since we have lots of frequencies from the kick, I really don't need a ton of low end. I'm gonna sharpen this up. But this is how we're gonna hear the toms. And as you can see here, the snare drum actually has a little bit of low end. Snare drum's not necessarily just a high end instrument. And so at around 200 hertz, it's that beefy snare drum. I'm gonna make sure not to cut that, but to help maybe kind of with some clarity. No. This guy right here. I'll scoot this guy up above that fundamental and maybe cut this like overtone right here. And narrow this up. Just cut the shit out of that. 6 dB. Fuck that guy. Now sometimes overheads can kind of have like an annoying harsh sound at around 4K. I like to just preemptively soften this up, but then kind of sneak in a little bit of a boost. And then something you can do is kind of play with the 1K range. So if you're like, I need more mids, need more cut, I'll goof with that later. A lot of stuff is really informed by the overall mix. So we'll come back to this. But I think that's going to sound pretty cool. So let's jump to here where I've got some stuff going on. Got some drums. Now I'll kind of blend them together here. So this is the vocal mic's bleed, the room tone, I guess you could say. So I want to be able to have the voice at least that loud. So I'm going to kind of blend these spot mics in here. And 0 is kind of the most I'll crank it up, but I'm just like, that just sounds good. Have a lot of kicks. That's what I'm talking about. I'm just like, I think it's the headphones I'm using or something like that. I'm just like, I want lots of kick drum here, man. Now I could cut this out here. I could make that mix, but really, this is really the mix I'm making. Having that room tone, that bleed from my vocal mic. Okay, so here's something fun. I've got them submixed over to Drum Sub World. You can put another compressor to kind of mush everything together. That's what I'm talking about. So let's just play that loop again. So I think I'm gonna just use this guy. And here's a little secret. If you want that low end to cut through and not, see how the kick drum is always getting this come down? Maybe you don't want that much boominess. You can go to the side chain of your compressor, turn on a high pass filter right above that low end, maybe like 130 or I don't know, somewhere around there. See this filter. Now it's still reacting to the kick drum, but it seems like it's a little chiller. So now I can kind of maybe dig it a little deeper here, increase the ratio. And you know, something happened. So it's more riding like, you know, the mid-range, not just getting sucked down from the kick drum. Pop that up a little bit. And we'll do another layer of distortion, because why the hell not? Cool. And I think that'll probably do a pretty good job on the drums for the most part. It'll keep that peak level from getting too hot. It'll kind of just ride the level most of the time. Let me look at my final. So I've been kind of hitting the limiter a lot here. But I don't think this is coloring the sound too much. So I'll leave it. Leave it alone. It's fine. And the nice thing about a drum sub like this I can just control the level all by itself. All right. Okay, class, to review. We've had a kick drum and an overhead drum mic mixed together. You can add EQ to either bring out the character resonance of the things, or you can cut things you don't want. You can use a compressor to control the loud parts of the signal so that it sounds, I don't know, more rock and roll, I guess. And you can use submixes to send certain tracks to places if you feel like doing that. Otherwise, it just all goes into the master fader or whatever it's called. And you just listen to that. It's just that easy. Let's listen to this again and let's goof around with like effects. So like turning them on and off and stuff. So here's with effects. And I'll turn them off just as reference to where we started. while you're listening to all this, you can consider factors such as, you know, does the cymbal make me happy? Does the slap from the drums make me happy? Just work with what you got, and you know, if something sounds like it's resonating in a weird way, just cut that. And if something sounds like it needs to come out some more, like the low end from the kick drum, it's in there. You just gotta kind of get it to come out, pop out of there. But yeah, those are some drums. Let's jump ahead to a different section, and let's work in the vocals. So I was goofing around here earlier. Let's go to... What's a good song where I actually sing good on it? I don't know. What's this one? I still got some work to do on that one, I think. It's already sounding better. I think drums, probably like one of the #1 things. Like if you can process that and make that sound good, your mix is gonna sound real good. All right, what's this? All right, that's probably a good one. This is a good one. I definitely sing on this one. Okay, there, it's done squiggling around here. Let me loop this little section here. And what we're gonna do is actually just turn down the guitars for now. And okay, so let's start the complicated process of processing vocals. So, #1 thing I'm gonna do with the vocals is EQ this, so we got a good raw sound. And vocals are never lower than like 100 hertz usually, unless you're like singing super low. So we'll just cut everything that's below there. There's this phenomenon with microphones where if you're real up close to them like I am here, the low end will get a little bit more prominent. So we can kind of cut something like that. Just get things started here. I know there's some mode, but I friggin' forget what to do here. Auto set, not by region selection. Let's stop that. There we go. Okay, go to here. Alright, so already we have a little less mud. I'm gonna have to bring out a little more emphasis. I do think I can cut the mid zone here a bit. There we go. That's a little more natural. Something like that. That's probably good. Already sounds better. So now I definitely want to level it out. But here's the tricky part though, because you got these drums in the background. So I can't go too crazy, but I do want it to sound cool, so. I don't know. Somewhat aggressive, 10 millisecond. Vocals sound a little better, slightly slower. Compressor. I want to compress just enough that it's compressing, but it's not like killing the drums in the background. Maybe a little more. But that might be as much as we can get away with. That should help level it out. level here. I still got the level down a bit. Distortion.
There's no reason to cry.
The distortion really helps kind of make it pop out a little bit.
I'm falling around you. It's calling me back to who say the words that I don't understand. Where it
And it could
is
be
I
just that
am,
simple, but
except next to you.
kind of want a little extra something here. So this is, we'll go to the Vox sub, and I've got these sent to the delay and reverb channel. So let's build some reverb. Got my reverb channel here. The reverb that I like to use is what they call this convolution reverb. It's a little convoluted how you use it. This one I definitely recommend just load a preset. Let's just do something fun that we can hear really well. So your traditional reverbs are like your halls and your rooms. Studio reverb technology, for a while plate was really popular. Before that were spring reverbs. So these are kind of your vintage reverbs. Plate is kind of mid-range, and then you start having good like digital, you know, natural rooms and halls. I'm always like, screw that, let's have a fun reverb. Let's get a nice plate. How about that? So when you have a reverb in send mode like this, you just want the wetness from the reverb. You don't want to mix in any dry. Sometimes I'll go crazy and just crank the wet up. Then yeah, we just blend it in to get a taste of it. That is a nice plate. And naturally we're going to hear the drums because they bleed into the vocal mic. Have to think about that. But that already sounds pretty good, so I'm just going to roll with that. Delay. Lots of things you can do with delay, but here's another nerdy audio engineer. Well, here's the thing. Secret buried way in here in Logic's amps and pedals. They have stomp boxes, and they have a delay stomp box that is the tree tape delay. And this makes it sound extra vintagey and cool. So some tips on this, go ahead and leave your low cut up pretty high. You don't want too much low end bouncing around your head. For some reason they put the high cut really low, and you kind of don't want that much high cut. That's going to sound a little funky. We're going to do 100% mix because it's a send mode. We already have the OG. Delay feedback. I like to start with not very much feedback, and then as I want to get trippier and trippier, you can add more. But this starts with like our pretty dry, straight ahead delay. Doesn't get too muddy. And then time, just kind of how do we want to sync it up to a quarter note, half note? Do a whole bar. Let's see what this sounds like. I got it right here. Oh, there it is. It's kind of not quite in time. Oh, you know what? I'm not using a time base here. So I could just set this wherever I want. Long. Trying to listen to the drum. That's good enough, right? Eh. That's good enough.
next to you.
It's really just supposed to be ambience. But yeah, delay here, true tape. And it sounds a little bit too much in the middle, so I am going to add a little bit of modulation here. Add a stereo chorus. That'll widen it up there. That's what I do. I remember there's a preset I like. I think it's just this one.
There's no reason to cry.
I don't even know what D mode is. D mode. Aggressive.
I'm falling around you. It's calling me back to say.
There, instant backup vocals. I'll just blend that into the background. There. Ta-da!
Except next to you.
Alright. So we have our delay and reverb. It's a good loop. So let me go ahead and blend in some bass. Alright, I can't hear the bass. No worries. Unsolo it. And we're going to blend it in. So here I am listening for the kick and the bass to basically bounce back and forth with each other in the mix. quiet. Listening to it quiet, you want to make sure you can still hear all of the elements, even if they, even at a low listening level. That's not true for all styles of music, but I would say it's pretty true for rock and roll. Like when you slap it on the jukebox in the back of the hall and you hear it across from everything, you still wouldn't be able to hear that kick drum and the bass and everything. So yeah. I don't think that's affecting your listening level, but on my end, yep, just making sure I'm listening at a healthy level. Yeah. So I think that's pretty good. I pulled the kick back just a little bit. I've got headroom for it. I could crank it up more. I could turn it down. That's generally where you want to be in any good mixing situation. So here on my main mix, peak level was negative 2.5, which is good. I've got headroom. I've got room for adding things in. It's basically the idea there. Okay, let me spend a little bit of time tuning the guitars. And by that, I mean, this is a good song for that because I've got clean, just different types of guitar playing here. Start with it just occurred to me that I might not be routing whenever I solo something, and that's such a bummer. I'm sorry, guys. Isn't there like a mode for this? Or am I thinking of Pro Tools? The always solo button. I'm so sorry. This ruined this lesson because I haven't been talking half the time. Although I haven't been soloing that much either, so I think it's fine. I don't know. So to speed this up a little bit, I'm just going to copy this setting to Brad, and I'm not even going to EQ it. Whatever. But I'll give Brad a different amp. How about that? That's not the amp. This will probably sound good, right? I remembered to solo this time. Alright, whatever. Okay. No more solo. Let's blend these in. Then you might be wondering, how in the heck do I keep everything from distorting and getting over leveled? Well, I just put on another compressor. So here's where I'm at. Let me recap here. Get out of you. Flip. So we've got our voice. We got our guitars, bass, drums, reverb and delay, drum sub, vocal sub. Finally, we're on our main channel here. And to just kind of a final ride thing, just kind of checking on the levels here. We'll put this compressor at the very end. Kind of a chill guy, kind of turning down the levels whenever it gets pretty loud. So you can have a slow release, something like that. Slow attack. I don't want it to be too aggressive. So let's kind of give this a listen here. And then from here, we can just go through and listen to different things and make sure stuff sounds good. Or we don't have to do that. We can just be like, it's good enough. yeah, that's that. Something that can be fun once in a while. Is just to kind of be listening to a song and then turn off all the effects just to see how far you've come. Let's listen to a fun song here. I like this song. This is good. Oh, good song. All right, here we go. Isn't that nuts?
I never said I'm sorry. Not the word to say.
Sounds
not the word
better.
To say.
I don't know. Yep. So that's what audio processing does. It makes the sound different. So. And I didn't even throw on much EQ, so that's just basically compression. The amplifiers are a form of EQ in a way. They're a pretty major form of EQ. Yeah, they completely change the sound of your direct instrument. But yeah, we got to hear a little bit of what direct instruments sound like versus the processed versions. Again, I apologize for not remembering to solo my mic. I don't think I did that too much, but I honestly can't remember. Oh yeah, here's one final secret. If you're having a hard time controlling the compressors, because they take a long time to learn how to twist the knobs the right way and stuff, but a really cheap and easy thing to do, and is actually a good idea, is that's my. Here, let me do that again. It's like almost subconscious. Is to put an adaptive limiter on the very last thing. I guess the adaptive limiter is kind of like this mastering assistant is like trying to do that for you. And add EQ and all kinds of stuff. But if you just want to be like, I just want to mix it down, I just don't want it to clip or anything. Last thing in the chain, adaptive limiter. What you do is you want to turn on true peak detection. True peak is like calculating between the samples. It's intersample interpolation. And then maybe turn the ceiling down just a skosh. That way, instead of hitting the ceiling, which is like digital max, leave like a bit or something, a really tiny bit of data way up at the top so that you don't distort your audio. And then the look ahead doesn't really matter, but you can just turn that down. This built-in delay to make sure it processes it real good. DC offset is I don't know. You get a little bit more headroom if there is any DC offset in your audio and you filter it out. You get just that little bit much headroom. And then your gain, just how much do you want to turn it up? So you might be wondering, how much do I need to turn it up? Well, that is what a meter is for. And not just any meter. If you go to the multimeter, which is probably covered up by my head. But yes, this is the multimeter in Logic. If you look over here, there is an LUFS meter here. Go. There it goes. Okay, thanks. I was about to stop it anyway. So as you can see, we have gathered a sample of audio here. How is it? What is it doing? Okay. And it says -14. That means the loudness of what we have just sampled is about 14, or -14. So loudness units, like 0 is kind of like the loudest possible thing that could possibly exist, I guess. I don't know. So we're about 14 dB from the loudest possible thing that could exist. That's pretty good. Some people like it around 12. So if you want to get it up to 12, now granted, all this stuff is going into this compressor, so it's probably all effed up. But all you got to do if you want to get to your target is just like sample it. Negative 14 is what I got before your adaptive limiter. Just add that difference. So I want like 2.5. There we go. This thing is really acting weird. It's pretty cool. Like this meter is just like doing whatever the hell it wants. But let's see how loud this is. Awesome. So we've got a classic pink noise curve in our EQ. That's kind of, unless you have really good equipment and you can get a good sounding white noise curve, I don't recommend that. Pink noise curve, just stick to that. Sounds great. I mean, it's a little more bass than high end, but not a shit ton more, not an insane amount. But yeah, that seems like it's at a good level. Oh, you know why this meter, it's probably covered up by my head, but the reason this meter, here, I forgot. Earlier I was like, oh, you can't hear my solo, and now I'm all like, metering. Oh, this meter's going crazy, and now this thing won't get out of my way. It's because this is my vocal mic. Jesus, what in the heck is going on with my brain? But anyway, this is, no, even, yeah, everybody gets confused by these interfaces and routing and all that stuff, but this is all I got. This is what I've got. This is what I was going to talk about today. Just some stuff that goes into live mixing. This doesn't even cover like editing the stuff to beat match it. I could do on a whole. I think I already did a video on beat matching, except I didn't really explain what I was doing. So, whatever. Hope this was fun. I'm going to go ahead and switch over to a different view. Oh, wait. I can't do that. Aha. Here, let me just... Did that do something? Here, what's OBS doing? I haven't been recording this whole time. All right, well, thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the flip side.